get started. So I'm going to introduce our speakers. So today with us, we have Zain Ahmed. He's the Vice President of the Civilian and Law Enforcement Government Sector here at CenturyLink. And we have Campbell. He's the Group Manager of Government Solutions Architecture. So a few months ago, really, and it seems like an instant for all of us, I mean, the world really changed. I think for everybody, from the way we work, hi everybody at home, digital CoffeeTalk, you know, from the way we work to our family lives and everything in between, you know, COVID-19 just has really accelerated us all into a new version of the digital world. And government agencies have really had to find ways to continue operations. They can't stop, you can't stop, right? And so, you know, while trying to find solutions to the increasing sudden changes and challenges of connecting a digital workforce and providing really critical, vital citizen services. So today we're going to open up the discussion about how CenturyLink is responding to government needs and challenges. We want to talk about the trends we're seeing emerge as agencies look to new ways of operating post-COVID-19. And how network modernization is going to play a vital role in what comes next in that new world. So with that, you know, Zain and Campbell, can you talk a little bit about how CenturyLink fared in execution during the past few months and what the impact has been like for the company and employees? Zain, you want to get started with that?
Sure. Thank you, Lesley. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well and safe and healthy and washing your hands regularly. It is quite weird times we live in today, but the technology that we have at hand is able to help us communicate, still be in touch with our loved ones and even our customers and our partners. So as part of that, I've been very proud and fortunate to work for a company that took early actions and took the right actions early to protect your employee base, your partners, your customers. And the way we responded has been remarkable. And we pretty much took 75% of our workforce and had them work remotely overnight. This happened literally mid-March. Everybody's working from home now, and we were able to scale and manage through that. It's the essential workers, the field technicians that we have, the SCIF employees we have, the NOC technicians, the SOC technicians. They still had to come in and do the work that they had to do in our offices. Of course, we took precautions. Cleaning services got ramped up. So all that stuff happened really fast. During these trying times, communicating and having an open communication channel is more important than ever. And being a telecommunication company, being the backbone of the internet itself, we're really proud to be in a position to help and serve our customers and serve the mission of our clients.
Yeah, thanks. And Zain, to follow on that, you know, one thing that I found pretty incredible about this is we did have to pivot almost overnight and make those changes to be able to work from home. And the assets that CenturyLink has in place and the capabilities that we have, the work doesn't stop. The work just shifted. And our capabilities to be able to pivot and the flexibility that our teams had in place was really remarkable. But having the tools and the resources available to us really did enable us to maintain the level of productivity that's necessary to be able to support the federal government. And at the same time, you know, again, the work doesn't stop. I was very proud, and I am very proud of this company and this organization to be able to continue to support in the way that we have.
Awesome. You know, can you both talk a little bit about some of the ways CenturyLink has supported the needs of customers and the community over the past few months in response to COVID-19 across the public sector? Campbell, why don't you go ahead and get started with this one?
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Lesley. I'll say right out of the gate, when the Defense Information Systems Agency, DISA, needed a technology company that could provide high-capacity network services in a safe manner, securely and quickly, CenturyLink stepped up. We waived our installation fees. We donated 12 months of services to the U.S. Naval warship Mercy when it arrived in the port of Los Angeles and San Diego on March 27th. We're also providing a 1 gigabit Ethernet circuit that connects DIS's shore-based Naval Air Station North Island to the USNS Mercy.
Yeah, thanks, Campbell. I think there are three main kind of triggers that we've taken and implemented across the board to help our customers cope with the challenges of remote workforce, increased capacity with especially the healthcare vertical with the demands that they're facing. Even on the state and local side, where we had schools and universities that needed bandwidth to show up immediately for their remote learning purpose as well. So I'll go through three of them that I feel I'm very proud of how we're responding to it. One, any temporary medical facility that gets stood up, we're offering free bandwidth where we are on net to the facility, and really proud to be part of a company that looks at that and doesn't look to monetize it and tries to offer services when the country needs it. So that has been a really powerful impact, and similar to the naval ship Mercy, where we're doing it free of cost to the government and making sure everybody's cared for, our citizens are cared for. The second step that we took was it was around emergency bandwidth upgrades. We were literally doing them within hours. And we're still doing it. If you have a circuit with us, within 4 hours, we're able to turn up service and get you to the scale point. And this is the foundation. You build your network with a company that owns their asset and they control it. We don't have a bunch of portals in the background that are running and going and dispatching to somebody else. It's us. We own the network. We own the delivery of that mission too. So that scale is just phenomenal. The other part that I've seen where we've gone and done is we've free increased broadband speeds for school and government. They're facing similar challenges with, like my middle schoolers are home and we're on Zoom all the time taking classes with their teachers. So that's created a lot of challenges for schools and universities to deal with, I'm sure, across the board. And we've gone and came in and to the rescue and tried to do what we can. Even for healthcare vertical itself, we've upgraded almost 200 gigs of bandwidth within, was it 3-4 days for a really important agency that needed it right away. So this has been a really powerful time, and to see the employees of CenturyLink show up, because they're putting their lives at risk and at harm's way, and while they're going and doing these services, and installing, because we can't do everything virtually, unfortunately, at this time, but our network can scale, and that's been just phenomenal to watch our employees come into action.
Awesome. And just a reminder for everybody, keep dropping your questions into the chat. We'll try and get through all of them. So we have a question. Can you talk about some of the biggest challenges you're hearing about from customers in meeting response needs?
I'd say, I'll take the question first, Campbell, and you can follow and add if I miss anything. I'd say two big challenges they're surfacing. One, the ability to get your applications to meet the demands of your employees, and that comes from having the adaptability or scalability in the foundation of your network built and ready to scale. And unfortunately, some customers of ours had that availability. Some customers who were new coming on didn't have that or searching for us to provide that. So in order to kind of have that scalability, you have to build the core right. And if the core is built right, we've seen our customers scale up around the remote workforce itself, because you have now thousands upon thousands of VPN connections incoming and using corporate resources that were used to being in office space or branch office and having a different bandwidth experience. So it's been that experience. The second has been around security itself. How do you still ensure security on a remote workforce, as well as just people on the go itself, because mission doesn't stop for certain agencies like VA or HHS, and they have to be able to secure all that information so state actors can't go get that. So those are the two big challenges that I've seen across the board.
Yeah, Zain, that's good. And just to follow on with that, one of the things that I found is very interesting is Obviously, this shift and this migration to remote workforce has also led to a major adoption or an increased adoption in cloud services. A company like CenturyLink, with all of our cloud connectivity capabilities that we have available to agencies and users, allow for that immediate dynamic increase in capacity for those remote workers to have immediate access to all the systems that they're going to need, all the applications that are in their environment.
Thank you both. Okay, so let's go to, given the current environment, what are some of the common modernization gaps that this has exposed around infrastructure and the network? Campbell, why don't you go ahead and get this one started?
Sure. So if you think about it, prior to this, network design was very rigid, right? Very static. Agencies had private MPLS networks that connects their field offices to their data centers and be able to integrate. This change, what's occurred through the pandemic that we're in right now, and this remote workforce has really created a major pivot, right? So its ability to have the remote workers be fully integrated into their networks, regardless of where they are. So this remote workforce adoption approach to how CenturyLink is delivering services, whether it be through our standard remote access capabilities or integrating agencies' broadband connections and securely with edge-based platforms to be able to integrate their wide area network and allow for those agencies not only to reach their field offices, but also those remote facilities where their applications reside. Major shift in the overall change in the network design and network topologies. All the services still need to work, right? We still need to be able to support our constituents, to support the warfighter. That hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed really is that increasing capacity and our now, I guess, getting used to being on video is a major increase in overall network utilization. So we're much more fluid now, and thankfully, as Zain was mentioning before, having the network backbone assets available and being a heavily entrenched network environment allows for us to be able to readily scale. We are ready for this. You know, we didn't know that. You never know that you're ready until it hits, but we are doing great as a company, and our ability to support all of our customers using our network assets have really enabled us to have almost no impact into the workforce. Zain, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking through, as you were saying, network has become a verb. It's an action now. It is not something static. It's dynamic, and ability to scale becomes the biggest thing that you have. And agility to when you're connecting to cloud, you're connecting to your the internet or connecting to back-end headquarters. So having security postures around that, having your network to be able to be agile enough to scale where it's needed. I mean, we saw almost 3x show up on our network from an internet perspective, and we were able to consume it. We had to do upgrades, and there will be some hiccups that come along the way as you're working through the upgrades because it's unprecedented times. But the ability to scale happened within hours, not days, and that is the power of having your own network and being able to have an employee base too, which is just phenomenal to watch. People running to the problem and running into action to serve our customers and be able to create an environment where it becomes just a new normal.
The follow-on to that question was, so as government is enabling a more distributed workforce and setting up remote sites, what are the challenges you're seeing around security?
That's a great question. We've been talking to our customers about, and we have a great array of internal products as well as great partners like Palo Alto, Fortinet, and Zscaler. All the new solutions are in our kind of armor that we carry around. So when we work through problems and think through problems around security, we've been looking at TIC 3.0 for a while in the draft stages. We've created pilots around it, and we were talking to customers about pilots. A couple of our customers had come back and said with the TIC 3.0 guidance, the DHS release, and OMB did a great job right away jumping in. was to say, we'll give you relief in this time. Why don't you go try it? If you think that it works for you, you have the agility to go do it. So we've gone and sprung into action with some of our customers from pilot to just going straight into production. And we're piloting a couple other places. Once that pilot comes through, I think we'll be ready to kind of launch those products in the marketplace through EIS itself, because that's a great contract vehicle where MTIPS is there too, and this will just add on to that capabilities that we have now, having broad array of products that get you to your branch office, your SD-WAN kind of services that you have, and then getting your remote worker covered too. So that's a comprehensive portfolio of things that can address all the challenges our customers are facing.
Yeah. So, to follow with that, Zain, again, if you start with security as the foundation of your design, it certainly makes situations like the one that we're in a lot more easily adaptable from a productivity standpoint without a minimal impact. And when you look at what we're doing for SD-WAN solutions and the ability to incorporate virtual network function into SD-WAN, service chaining with the ability to handle how you apply your security algorithms and protocols, and have that underlying capability to really monitor and track and service to maintain that level of security, to know that the integrity of the data. And you start with the foundation of security, and then what we're doing with that TIC3 migration and those use cases that we've been able to formulate, it really does show that the ideation that DHS and GSA work through with that TIC3 migration and the incorporation of how they're encouraging agencies to take on these new inventive approaches. And again, Zain, as you mentioned, with our partnerships that we have in place, we really have been able to adapt and using, again, that baseline foundation of security in place. I've seen almost no impact, but still able to have that level of security available to our end users.
And so this is a great lead in. We have a bunch of questions coming in. So a couple of the things that you mentioned lead in nicely to these next few questions. So how has CenturyLink's work on its EIS task orders changed as a result of the pandemic? Is there a sense GSA and agencies with open procurements plan to modify their schedules?
Whew. Well, so Zain, I'll start with this one. I couldn't be more proud of my team and the sales engineering team and our overall ecosystem in the federal public sector organization. Again, as I said, the work didn't stop, right? But we changed. Previously, where we were having conversations and meeting face-to-face and getting together in war rooms, our war rooms are now through shared Teams environment, right? We have group calls. We're able to have this communication. Nothing has slowed down. Our productivity has not changed. In fact, I would say that our ability to work dynamically and have multiple people working in single documents at the same time and developing these solutions and getting something out, winning efforts out to the public marketplace and into the government, we're operating better than ever right now. I couldn't be more proud and more impressed with our organization overall.
Absolutely, Campbell, I agree with you how the organization is dealing. I'd like to touch on kind of how GSA and agencies are looking at EIS itself. Some of the agencies we're seeing lots of LPTA, lowest price, technically acceptable from DoD. Those are kind of quick fixes. They really don't offer much value, but that's what they do. And the other aspect, we're seeing short response times from agencies to respond to requirements. Which creates a lot of burden on us and puts a lot of risk on the industry to provide an accurate response in a time that is constrained and give you the best value. So I think having dialogue early on is helpful around that. And also creating the pressure of like-for-like transitions, because the schedule is getting compressed. Nothing changed around the EIS transition schedule. That's stagnant, or static rather, and we're all marching towards that. There's some issues coming with COVID-19. It's getting delayed because people aren't in the office, people aren't collaborating like how they used to. I feel like in the government space, because we're pushing through, but a lot of things that's coming through, it's just becoming where we're not getting clear direction, I feel like. And then lastly, I would touch is a lot of the pending awards are still sitting with the government agencies. They haven't made decisions on those. So, and that only slows your transition away from networks or legacy contracts like WITS or GSA, LSAs onto EIS. And I'm a big believer of what Allen Hill and GSA are doing. And they want to push the transition early so the government can actually get the benefit of lower cost that's available on EIS. So those are the couple of trends that I've seen across the board. Hopefully that answers the question.
If there's a follow-on question to that you want to drop in, go ahead and do that if that wasn't quite enough. But we're going to move on to another question. So are you finding that now that so much work is being done remotely, government clients are getting more comfortable not only with telework, but with greater interest in / adoption of emerging technologies such as SD-WAN, AI and machine learning, data analytics, etc.?
I think we will change coming out of this pandemic. I believe this wholeheartedly, how it'll impact how we live, how we work, how we interact. Definitely the way we use this mechanism of communication, being virtual, being on Zoom calls, being on WebEx, or Microsoft Teams calls, right? So this is just going to be different how we collaborate. I think we're going to get more efficient working remotely. We don't have to always be in a room together. But sometimes that's the way you build relationships. But you don't have to have that all the time, and the environment around it, because as you get remote, you have to get comfortable with having the ability to process things faster, process the communication tools you're using. It can't be the old audio bridge that you use all the time, right? It has to be more face-to-face interaction with video itself. The other thing I would say is the security posture will get, the ability to move to TIC 3.0 will get accelerated with this as we come out of this. So those are the common themes that I've seen around, like, what I feel like is going to change as we come out of this.
Zain, yeah, to follow on to that, I totally agree with you. I do think that this is going to change the marketplace for the duration. What's not changing, though, is the law, right? So FSMA still exists. The mandates are still in place. 800-53 Rev 4 moving to Rev 5. It's still there. We have to be able to design and develop and adapt to a remote workforce and still maintain all of those compliance regimen that we've already had in place. So being able to do so in a more fluid and dynamic environment, it's crucial to how we build the foundations for our network designs and solutions. So yeah, laws aren't changing, but the workforce certainly is, and where we're actually getting our jobs done.
So we have another question. How are you helping remote and rural locations access the bandwidth they need when they do not have current facilities?
So that is a hard thing to solve. I would say there are three main kind of levers we use. One is the CAF funding that we get from FCC around where we can build from a rural perspective. Second, we're seriously looking around wireless technology, even 5G, low spectrum 5G, where we can get to a rural place and offer it to multiple tenants around that or multiple consumers around that. That's been another push. The third is broadband, and we have a fantastic partner in there that we can bundle up multiple DSLs and offer a higher bandwidth solution around it. So there's a couple of solutions around it, and you don't have to always have a T1 running to you. And with SD-WAN adoption itself, having broadband as a facility or access medium definitely enables us to push more bandwidth through those locations. Because I completely understand when you're limited with the access you have, how do you do video calls? How do you access your applications that are near real time? And the other one I think I kind of left off was probably the edge. we've launched our Compute Edge platform itself and our capabilities and products around it, especially around IoT, as well as how AI will function in AR, VR, augmented reality, virtual reality. They want near real-time responses, and even cloud can't handle that. So we have the ability to almost get to 5 milliseconds. Campbell, you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're a technical guy here.
5 milliseconds.
Legacy engineer here, so I still remember my facts. 5 milliseconds of response time with we can address 90% of the U.S. population with less than 5 milliseconds of response time with the products that we have. So pretty fortunate to be in that environment.
Great. And I think as you're mentioning things, people are just kind of, it's triggering great questions. So, several agency leaders have talked about 25% or more of their workforce might remain permanently digital. And what are your thoughts around how this is accelerating TIC 3.0?
I think
Zain, you want to start with that?
Yeah, it is propelling. It is accelerating it like no other. When DHS gives you guidance to kind of go take what you have, and if you have a TIC 3.0 solution, you can go into production now. That is enabling you for the temporary purposes, but eventually the pilots have to prove out and be capable of handling and also passing along threat data to DHS and others to consume. So you can't have one without the other. I get that, but it is definitely going to accelerate how TIC 3.0 application will come out. And I think DHS and GSA are doing a phenomenal job of getting that accelerated even further. I think they're in the final stages of getting that from a law perspective processed through, so we can actually govern around that. The technology is there. So the technology is there. It's sometimes we have to catch up with federal requirements.
And you know, part of this is policy too, right? So a lot of these agencies are, agency CISOs are realizing that they carry the ATO, right? So if you look at MTIPS the way that it was previously, the ATO is provided by GSA. So there's some education involved, and what we need to do is make sure that we're helping these agencies recognize that we can help develop their ANA plans with their TIC 3 environment to allow for that adoption and taking on that ATO. Because ultimately it does fall on that agency to be validating that they're securing their own data. And so, us working with them and us carrying the expertise, not just from a networking standpoint, but also from an industrial security standpoint, be able to walk through the capabilities and what it means for that agency to be securing their network. Very crucial as we move into the TIC 3 environment.
It's a great point, Campbell.
Can you talk about some of the biggest challenges you've heard about from customers in meeting response needs and how they're going to move forward after COVID-19?
So biggest challenges today and then moving past COVID-19?
I think that's what the question is. Yeah, we'll go with that. And then if they need a follow-on, they can drop it in the window.
So the biggest challenge is the ability to securely scale and provide the user experience that you're still in the office. And that comes with its challenges. I remember I was on a call, multiple calls around one of our customers who kept having drop calls show up while they were trying to join a conference bridge from home. And the wireless networks are not designed. The local access points, the POTS lines, even going to the central office aren't designed for so many concurrent lines. And eventually it does drop you. So turning on your Wi-Fi calling from your home is a good thing to do. That helps alleviate some of that burden off the cell towers. The other is just how much congestion you'll see across the network itself by the time you get to our platform. So some of those challenges start to perk up. The other challenge was around getting your internet speed up so you can actually intake more VPN connections from your users, or even the third aspect that I saw was in the healthcare vertical, nation actors were starting to attack and flood with DDoS attacks. So we have the capability to, and we were up all night working through that, just like what we do, go to serve the mission, working through and scrubbing that data, getting them the cleanest data possible, and alleviating that stress off their infrastructure. Because that's a reality, sad reality, that people take advantage during times of need or stress times that bad actors start to show up. So those are the three kind of areas that I saw as we come out of this. I fundamentally believe that CIOs are looking at the network now. I think CIOs were more focused on application level development and what the user experience or their end user experience will look like, citizen experience will look like. But if you don't focus on the core of your network, how it's built, there's no way to deliver the user experience of the applications across it. So they're paying attention to that. How do you adapt? How do you make your network more agile? You're able to go to cloud. You're able to go to internet. You're able to go to your data center itself and be able to scale that. So and the cloud is an important piece in this puzzle because it gives you the ability to scale your applications as demand grows. So and then lastly, I would say, how do I make my security posture ubiquitous? So it doesn't matter where I'm at. Am I wireless? Am I wired? Am I at my home? Am I at a coffee shop? I'm able to connect regardless. And if I can validate my credentials, I'm good. So my experience should be the same while I'm in the office versus I'm outside. And you can fine tune it for certain mechanisms or certain places, but that's how our end users are experiencing things, and they want that kind of experience to come through.
Campbell, do you have anything you want to add to that?
That was pretty thorough. Though, I was talking through more. I was thinking about, what is it that we are doing today versus what we're going to see when we come out of this pandemic. And one thing that's really, I'm being selfish and talking about just EIS. We are very task order focused right now, right? So much of the work that we're solutioning to are task orders that were written pre-pandemic. Right, so we're actually solving for so many opportunities or so many problems that agencies are identifying that aren't documented in these task orders. But I know for certain that when we come out of this pandemic, once we make the awards are made, there's going to be a shift in how agencies, once they've made that award, what they're actually looking like from their wide area network perspective. And we're prepared for that. So, we've really been focused on how you have that remote workforce design capability ready and available, and it's specifically under this EIS contract, where we're solving for, you've got your field offices, you've got your data centers, you're connecting those through a wide area network, you have some limited capability that you're looking for remote access. That's what we're looking at these task orders right now. But that's going to change considerably when we actually see those awards, where the reality of what those agencies have in place don't match what they had in those task orders. And we're ready to talk, right? We're ready to have those agencies recognize that we are here to pivot. And as they're making those changes after their awards are made, we're there to support those changes, and we're ready to go. So that's kind of how I see where we are today, what we're solving for, but knowing full well what's going to be actually taking place a year from now, 2 years from now, post-transition, as to what the real reality of an agency topology looks like.
Great, thank you both. So we're getting close to the end of Coffee Talk. So I just wanted to ask, Zain and Campbell, if you have any closing thoughts. This is really a difficult time for everyone, and we all work in government because we believe in the mission and we want to help serve the mission, and we certainly appreciate everything all of our government workers and those who serve in government do for us. So thank you all. And I want to just open it up to Zain and Campbell for some closing remarks.
So, the one thing I want to say is, I know that a lot of these agencies and customers are under task orders, but don't hesitate to reach out, right? I have a team of solution architects that work for CenturyLink. There's 15 of us, and we love to solve. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know what your challenges are. We want to have that level, those conversations. And just because we are not there in front of you, we're not able to have those face-to-face conversations right now, it doesn't mean that we're not there. So would love to hear from more and more of you. Would love the opportunity to have as many conversations about understanding where your complexities lie, and hopefully we can help solve for those. So please, by all means, continue to reach out, work with our account teams, and let us get in front of you guys. Let us talk. Would love the chance. So keep the communication lines open between government and industry, please.
So my parting thoughts around I'll summarize in three different areas, right? One, we're here for you. If anybody needs any help, partners, even if you need grocery delivered, send me a message. I'll come go deliver groceries for you, because we've been doing it around our neighborhood. So whoever needs it, it's time to be empathetic, time to help each other, time to help people who are in need and less fortunate than us, so, or not able to do it, just given the age group category they fit in. So go help out, be empathetic, listen, because this is the time to be there for them. Second, from agency perspective, thank you for all the healthcare vertical agencies that we've been serving, and they have a really hard mission. They have a really hard challenge on their hands. They're working through day and night, and across the board, federal agency employees have been affected. Thank you, how you go about solving that. And lastly, wash your hands, come off clean, keep safe, wear your mask if you can, and that just stops the spread. Thank you for listening and tuning in. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to hear what we've seen, what we've heard. Hopefully it made sense, it resonated, and it was helpful as you guys are thinking through how you go modernize or change the world. We're one of those people and companies that is in our DNA not to live in the status quo, because we're never happy with that. I'm never satisfied. My team tells me all the time this. I'm always looking for more. How do we improve from here to the next step? Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Zain. Thank you, Campbell. Thank you, everyone, for joining. I want to, great job. Thank you, everyone, for everything. A few quick reminders before we sign off. We will send you an email to the on-demand version with a link to the on-demand version of this training and well, it's not really training, the Coffee Talk. So check your inboxes tomorrow. And if you didn't get a chance to download the resources, or there's any questions you have, please feel free to email us. Please take a moment. We have a few last polling questions before you sign off if you want to answer those. And one more thing, we wanted to let you know, on May 19th with ACT-IAC, we're going to be hosting a similar discussion where we're going to have the CIO, Ryan Coate, the CIO from Department of Transportation, and Gary Washington, the CIO for USDA, joining Zain and ACT-IAC for a discussion very similar to this, but a little bit more expanded. Please sign up at the link in the resources section if you're interested. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedules. This is a crazy time, and we appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us for Coffee Talk. And we will let you know when the next one is coming up. On behalf of everyone at CenturyLink, thank you for all that you do. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and have a great rest of your day. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.